Welcome back. As I continue on with the propane stove, I wanted to go over a few of the things that I've been working on and making little changes to. The curb on the top of the deck, I shortened that. I made it 4.5 inches square. I have a 2.5 inch hole drilled in it. And what I will be doing is I have this basically 2.5 inch OD collar. That's going to go inside. That's going to be the sleeve. And then it's going to project down through the top of the cabin deck. So that's going to be flush. I'm then going to cover this with stainless steel, which is what I'm working on now. And then on top of that stainless steel is going to go this cap. So it'll be teak underneath, just in case water gets in, it won't rot. But I'm going to seal it pretty good. But it's also going to be covered in stainless steel as well for complete water protection. And this will be for heat protection, even though the tubing, the exhaust tubing, doesn't get that hot. So that's the progress so far. Right now I'm just cutting out this piece of stainless steel. I'm going to start polishing this, and basically I have 4 grits. I'll start with the black emery, which is this, then I go to the brown, then white diamond, and then the red rouge for a final polish. Well, I've gone through all the grits. I'm down to the last one, the red rouge. So we'll see the final product pretty soon. I skipped the others just to save time for you. This down with a little bit of denatured alcohol. Get my fingerprints off of it. Not bad. I don't know if you can see the difference. Definitely looks good to me. I can see myself pretty easily. Can in that, can in here. Yeah, not bad. So what I'm going to do next is kind of cut these corners out. Then I'm going to bend the sides down such that it'll fit over top of the block and come down the sides. And then I'll cut like a small hole in the center, just big enough for the flue pipe. This is how I bend metal. I don't have a metal brake, so I just, fortunately, this is a small piece. I could just use my fingers to bend this piece straight down. Sometimes I just tap it with a non-metallic handle or a hammer, something like this, to just get a better edge. And there you go. Little bit of pounding, and it fits. And once I cut this to match the cabin top, match the slope, I'll have to come back and I'll have to trim this. So eventually these will get screwed down with stainless steel screws, and I'll put some type of sealant here at the seam. I'll cut a hole in the deck the same size of this. I'll put sealant all around the bottom here to seal it real good. That'll be on the top. Cut a little hole in it. I can do that now. And that'll get screwed down to the top there. So there's my curb. There's my cap. And I'll probably put like a little sealant under there as well. There you go. This was suggested by one of my YouTube subscribers, and it was a great idea for my propane stove to make sure I had a sign right next to it that said open the vent cap up on the deck, because the last thing you want to do is light this stove and not have the vent open up top. He was very wise to remind me of that. It was a great idea. I do like all kinds of checklists. I even made up some checklists that I'll leave by the stove, like a checklist to light the stove, things like check for leaks, things like that, to extinguish. Then I have a leave the boat checklist. I had one before, but since I'm adding a propane stove, I think it's worthwhile to add a few more things to check before I leave a boat. So I usually just put these on a string. These I'll keep by the stove. This I usually just leave in the galley area because that's where I kept my old checklist. This is going to be the propane holder for these 1 pound cylinders. And then this will go into the locker, and one will always be connected up to a pressure gauge, shutoff valve, and also a regulator. I got holes drilled in the bottom in case any bottle leaks, it doesn't collect inside here. And then also on the bottom, I just glued on some teak locks so it keeps it off the bottom of the locker. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal this with Interlux protective 2-part epoxy. And then over top of that, I'll probably just paint it white. And now for the white coat. Well, pretty much down to the wire as far as what I can do at home. I finished the propane bottle holder, got 2 coats of white. I'm finished with the regulator, shutoff valve, and test gauge assembly. I just purchased one of these through-hole hose seals. So inside the propane locker, the hose will actually go through this and provide a tight seal so propane cannot leak outside the locker past the hose. And also I have one of these propane gas leak detectors. I just got this in the mail today. Unfortunately, I have to send it back They packaged this improperly. This came with a 110 volt transformer, and even though the unit runs on 12 volt, this transformer steps it down to 12 volt. I did call the factory and they said no, this was packaged wrong. It should have a connection here just for 12 volts. So this has gone back. In fact, I decided to, when I reordered it, I ordered a white one instead of this brown one. Here's the new propane leak detector in white. If you look closely, you can see it has a date, replaced by January 2015. That's no good. This has got to be returned also. Well, this portion of the heater is done. The back reflector is polished and the heater is now mounted. I have a 3/4 inch aluminum angle on the back of the reflector to stiffen the backing and also to provide support for the heater. Well, it was a great day on Sunday, February 28th. Got down to the boat. I was able to take my teak curb down and make some measurements, scribing it. Brought it back home and made a jig to hold it at an angle so I could cut it with my bandsaw. After I cut it, I took the top half and I laid it inside the stainless steel cover, scribed the inside of the cover, and then trimmed off the excess. I then screwed the cover onto the teak block and then mounted the exhaust cap on top of that. So at this point, it's ready to go back to the boat. Well, that's the end of this series on boat heaters. Everything is now ready to go to the boat as soon as it gets a lot warmer, and I'll be installing it and taking a video of the final installation. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you have any questions, please leave them. I'd be glad to answer them, as well as any comments. Thanks for watching.